Welcome to you all to Parrsboro United Baptist Church and to our Thanksgiving service. Thank you for the blessing you've given us just by availing yourself here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And may God bless you for that. As Harriet gave the story, allowed the children and the young at heart to give their stories, and the choir gave their last song, I am reminded of a gentleman, an unbelieving gentleman, not believing in the sense that he had his own God, but was a non-Christian fellow who went into the temple of his God to pray that God might give him shoes. And in the course of offering his prayer, his eyes dilated to his neighbor who was just praying beside him. And when his eyes saw right down, he noticed that his neighbor had no feet. He was asking for shoes. The neighbor had no feet. Can you think of how his prayer might have turned if he had any sense of right feeling? And when we come together in the course of today, we want to think about those things that cheer our hearts. There are numerous things that can dampen our spirits, make us feel miserable, and go about saddened. But if we centered our thoughts on the good things that have come our way, soon that good will eclipse the bad, and we'll be jumping for joy. And I want to pray that all of us who are present in the course of this morning shall go out in that attitude, and in fact that it may begin to take place in your heart before our worship is done. We're reading from what do you call that book? Zephaniah, in the course of this morning. And just one verse. This little book is actually rich with stuff that is full of meaning. But perhaps it's the first time certain of us are ever even hearing of it. But there it is there. It's God's inspired word. And anything that God has given to us has great value to it. It's a story of God telling his people in Judah, look, if you don't live rightly, you're going to be judged. It's God speaking to the nations at large. There may be trillions of you, but I created you. And if you don't do right, I'm going to destroy you. It is God bringing the story of how that when his rebellious people turn out and become obedient to him, he gives them tremendous blessing because he becomes the God who delights in them. And this little verse we are about to read comes in that portion where God is happy with people, delighted in them, and actually pouring down, as it seems, torrents of blessing upon them. Look at what the 17th verse says. The Lord your God is in the midst of you. He is mighty to save. He will rejoice over you with joy. He will rest in his love. He will joy over you with singing. Oh boy. That is an uplifting verse. What are some of the things that are most memorable in your life? Most probably, it's the pleasant things. Perhaps the first time you wore a suit or a dress bought from abroad, or some jewelry that was given you that was spectacular. There are those moments when you just think back and say, boom, that was splendid. We all have those moments. But we know that perhaps more poignant are the sad moments, the sour things, the painful bits. They come through. But who wants to linger on that anyway? We want the side that is sweet, not the part that is sour. We want the bit that is pleasant, not the bit that is painful. We want that which is peaceful, not what brings problems, not that which troubles, but rather that which thrills. Who doesn't want that? We all want that. And look back in your personal life and check yourself. Don't you realize there is that moment when you were affirmed, when you were encouraged, when you were inspired, when you're just spoken of as good? And think of the moment when everybody is saying something nice about you, something sweet about you, something beautiful about you. You wish it could always be like that. Who doesn't want that? But we know it's not always said that way about us. And just in the midst of our jumping high for joy because something has happened and people have praised us, something sneaks in that just dampens our spirit so that from top, the sour experiences of life. But you see, our God is telling us, if we experience Him for who He is, we can come to the place where life's circumstances can never dampen our spirits to the point to which we are simply miserable, destitute, empty of anything that is called joy. Because when God says He floods our lives with joy, there is that sweetness, there is that beauty, there is that rest which rests upon the tablet of the heart that nothing can take away, that nothing can suppress, because the presence of Himself. And God is a joy and a thrill and a delight and an excellence in Himself. And the moment that is in you, no one can take it away. But can we ever come to that place? Rejoice always, says Paul to his hearers in Philippians. We were in it last week. Rejoice in the Lord. He doesn't say sometimes. He says rejoice always. And that is distinct from happiness. Happiness may be momentary, but joy is forever. And these things I say to you, says Jesus to His disciples, that my joy may be with you, and that your joy may be full. And Nehemiah answers that and says, the joy of the Lord is what?
Is my strength.
Thank you. Great student. The joy of the Lord is our strength. May that joy rest upon each one of us. How can we ever have it? Well, the Lord gives it to us here. And He begins by giving us His presence. For the Lord is in your midst. It is good that God is present with us. It is better that God is present with us to help us. Best of all, that God is present with us, that He may share Himself with us. And this God who is present with us wants to be immeasurably good to us. Aren't there people we enjoy, whose presence we feel we should never discard? You folks have been so kind as to help me get Peggy over here. One of my mentors would say to me, now, you've been away from your country a long time. What do you miss most? I said, what a question. I can answer it in one word. P-E-G-G-Y.
My girl.
It's a good answer. Oh, what else do you expect? It's a good answer. Well, to me. There are people whose presence here you simply feel, well, life is better with them around me. Life is sweet with them around me. Life is meaningful with them around me. Life is promising with them around me. For some of you, it's your parent. For certain others, your spouse. For still others, your children. How many of you parents have said, my child is my life? You liar. But this is how we feel about certain people, don't we? We say, and it is true that if certain people die in our lives, we also die with them. Even though we are moving, we're just monuments. how much more must we realize that when God says about each one of us, I am present with you, He's actually saying His presence that is much more meaningful than that of a parent, than that of a child, than that of a spouse, than that of an employer, than that of the best of human beings that ever you can think of. God is the giver of that which you've enjoyed. So if you have God, you have more than that which is around you, because He fashioned that. He gave it to you. He preserves it, and He can take it away if He wants. So He's a better presence than anything else. And our God does promise His presence to those who lay their trust in Him. Are you one of them? But notice, not only does this God promise that presence to His people, along with it, He actually speaks of a power. He is a mighty warrior. He will save, it says. He is a mighty warrior. We all need a helping hand at some point. We all need a helping hand that will not fail us. A helping hand that will not falter. A helping hand that will not be false. A helping hand that will not give up. A helping hand that will not fade. A helping hand that will not run away, discard us, forsake us. We have helping hands in many a human being. We have useful hands in many a partner. We have those helping hands in many associates around us. We have those, but they are not promised us forever. And sometimes they are taken away when we need them most. Who wants to be an orphan? Who wants to be a widow? Who wants to be a widower? Who wants to lose a child? Who wants to lose treasured possession? Who wants to lose this and that? We know there are certain things we just say, I don't want to lose this. But there is no guarantee that we ever can have them forever. But there is one help, there is one presence, there is one power that we can never lose, and it's the power of God. And God assures us, if we would plant our faith in Him, if we would be true to Him, here is His promise. I will be with you. And it doesn't say for 1,000 years, and doesn't say for 1 trillion years, and doesn't say for 1 trillion years, 10 trillion years, but it says forever. If God be present with you, thrill in Him. If God be a power to help present with you, trust Him. But it doesn't stop there. Look at how it says also a pleasantness. For it says here, He will exalt over you. God will be delighted in you. He will exalt over you with joy. He will be happy in you. We all want to have a good time, don't we? Just for interest sake. If you don't want to have fun, if you don't want to have a good time, show us. Stand up. No, we do want to have a good time. Who doesn't want to go to a place where you have fun? Didn't we say when the African choir sang the other time, that was nice. We had a good time. Whitney, who sang sometime last year, she'll sing again before long. Some of us are looking forward to that time. There's so many things that we look forward to. Because it's going to be fun, it's going to make us happy, it's going to make us laugh, it's going to make us joyful. It's going to give that moment of lightness. We had a light moment. And light moments are wonderful. Laughter is good for the soul. But all those experiences pine away if they are not vested in God. They come and then they go. They don't last forever. But He is the God who tells you, I will be happy in you and happy with you and give you my joy. So I'll give you that about me that makes me self-sufficient. I'll give you that about me that makes me self-satisfying. I'll give you that about me that makes me self-sweetening. that makes me just full and rich in myself. So that which constitutes, that makes me up, that which makes me God, that which cannot be taken away, I will share that with you. No experience can be better than that. As I was listening to some of Don's songs in the course of this morning, Don Joel's, one of the songs, and I thank you for the greatest miracle, God, that you've done. And say, this is the greatest miracle, that you've made me a Christian. How many of us realize that? I was thinking in the course of the week, as the youth and I were chatting over this and that, I said, you know that this fellow who discovered anesthesia, the medicine we take when we go to the theater, we're going to be operated on, is a scientist. And when he was asked, what is the greatest discovery in your life? People expected him to say, I discovered the medicine that you take when you go to be operated on, so that the operation goes and you don't feel the pain until you wake up. Imagine how painful it is to be chopped off and you're conscious that it's happening. You can feel it. It's unbearable. But he didn't say that. He said, the day I discovered I am a sinner who God could forgive. There is no joy that supersedes in all existence. This is the realization that I who am bad am made good by a good God. I who am unholy am made holy by a good God. I who have shameful acts am made shameless by a good God. I who am just terrible am made actually wonderful by this great God. Nothing can supersede that. And when God says, I'm happy in you, he says, that which I'm happy with in myself, that which I'm happy with about myself, that which makes me realize I'm worth being called God, I share that with you. No experience can be better than that. And our God is giving us that when we come to him. Have you come to that place? A place where you come to the end of yourself and you realize you have a new beginning, and your beginning is with God, and the situation can never be the same again. Have you come there? And this is what our God is sharing with us this day. Well, if that is the case, then this is what we should do. We should trust him and turn to him. If he is pleasant, or as we said, if he is present with us, then we thrill in him. If he is powerful, then we turn to him. And if he gives us this pleasantness, is it not time to turn to him? We thrill, we trust, and we turn to him. And it doesn't stop there. Look at what he tells us. That he gives us peace. He'll be quiet in his love. You know, real love doesn't shout, it shines. It's not so much vocal as much as it gives values and virtues. That's what it does. It speaks by what it does. And that's why it says, love is not love until it gives away. Love which withholds is not love. How many of us, in the name of love, have allowed ourselves to either be misused or mismanaged or just used badly, and it's been disturbing because we've gone out looking for love. Some of us have given our bodies looking for love. Some of us have given our property looking for love. In the end, we've realized, because whatever this thing called love, whatever our interpretation of it is, one thing we cannot deny, it has something sweet about it. It has a connotation of goodness about it, something of pleasantness about it, something of perfection about it, something of wonderfulness, something that is cherished by all. We just want to have that. The only place where it is perfect, the only place where it is spotless, the only place where it does not disappoint, the only place where it does not misuse, the only place where it does not hurt. If it does hurt, you've misunderstood it. It's working your good, and in the end will bless you in a bigger way than the hurt you felt. The only place where you find it like that is the place where you meet with God. Have you been there? And this is where your God is inviting you. This is where God is asking you to come, so that now you may take your everything to God. And that's wonderful. Take God at His word. Here's my last thought. Our pleasure. He will exalt over you with singing. Haven't you heard some? John, you sound very happy today. Yeah. What's making you happy? I'm getting married next week. Mary, why are you excited? I just won the jackpot. We have these things that just make us find that we can jump. Life is worth living again. But I still ask you, have you never found that that which made you happy today made you sad tomorrow? Have it made you thrilled today, troubled you the next day? I know of only one place where the moment you go, the moment He says, I promise you good, it will be consistently good. I promise you protection, it will be consistently protected. I promise you eternity, it will be assuredly eternity given to you. Only the eternal God can promise that. And He's telling you, have you come? Will you come? Did you come? What is your position? Who do you know of that made you really happy? And you say, they make me happy and they like me, but they harm me. No, if they like you and they're happy in you, they won't harm you. Who made you really happy and you jumped about and they saw your need and did not address that? Somebody who is really happy with you might even deny them their own need, that they might address your need. That's how love speaks. That's how love acts. Who is it that was happy with you and did not share in your pain and in your pleasure? Who is it? Because if they are happy in you and they love you, there is no experience that you go through that they want to distance themselves from. They want to be with you in everything and all the way. Help you jump, sink with you, become buoyant with you through situations until you triumphant. That's what real love and real happiness is. Real thrill in a person. And our God says, I want to bring you to a place where if you are hurt, I am hurt. If you're happy, I am happy. If you're satisfied, I am satisfied. If you're disturbed, I am disturbed. And I will not stop until I bring you to the place where you realize, as I thrill in you, you can thrill in me. You're never failing help. What do you need? What do you want? What do you pant for? As surely as I know that it is not against me, you will have it all. Who can promise that? Only God. Well done, choir. The clothes we wear, God has given us. Oh no, where was God when I was working and we went to buy these things? But where were you before He made your life? So you're doing what you're doing because He has given you life. We have reason to be thankful to this God. But are we? And from this point on, let's be thankful to God, not for some things, for all things, for life, for breath, for food, for clothes, for friends, for family, for country, for everything, for everything. So let's throw ourselves to God. Because He is present, thrill in Him. Because He is powerful, turn to Him. Because He is pleasant, won't you turn to Him? because he's peaceful, won't you take him at his word? And because he promises you never-ending pleasure, won't you throw yourself there more than you throw yourself to a concert or banquet or anything? You know, this Thanksgiving weekend, some friends have invited us to meal with them, Peggy and I, that is. But what thrills us much, with my girl and I, even though the food is nice, delicious indeed, much more the joy in the eyes of these faces, these people. Just, to see somebody happy that they are serving, that makes even the food 10,000 sweeter, because the giver is happy to bring it happily. I don't know how much your food will be enjoyed, but someone eat, almost choking it down your throat. It might choke you before it gets down. And yet when you can see that soul that says, hey, I'll be sad if you don't have it. That's what God is saying. I have so much blessing. If you don't come to that blessing, you make me sad. When you're talking about God's goodness, you can go on forever. But you won't thank me for that, so let's stop. Let's take the offering.